Hey guys, welcome to day 27. If you saw my video yesterday or my cheat meal video, you'll see I sound and I have way more energy today, even though today was a really long session, a pretty long session. Yeah, it was way easier than yesterday just because of the energy. So decided to go up heavier on the two-legged jumps today. So I did 10s, 30s, and 50-pound dumbbells. This is 120 pounds total, so it'd be like 60-pound dumbbells with the trap bar. This is the first exercise that I do, no warm-up or anything like that, so it takes me a couple jumps to get warmed up. I was a little bit worried doing these because I was feeling it a little bit in my left hip, and bilateral exercises are still challenging for me. But after this, we'll cycle back down to doing these with the two 10-pound dumbbells, and then we can see how much that I've improved. At that point, it'll probably be like 5 weeks. We'll see how much I improved in those. I know I'm barely getting off the ground, and it's slow, but this is to work on that eccentric, concentric change of direction without using the Achilles too much in the same way, like as a sprint. It doesn't beat you up because it's not a contact, even though that I'm dropping down. And then moving on to the sled sprints today. So I said that I was going to do my explosive work every third day. I've been doing 3 or 4 days, just depending on how I feel right now. But that's why I did a little bit of extra jump volume, but I did 6 sprints. Sometimes you'll see me miss a step here or there. Not to say that I don't have missed steps, but that weight is shifting around in the sled, causing me to have, missed steps here and there. But I lowered the load to 35 pounds, so I did that with 55, 45, and today 35, just increasing the movement speed. Those hill sprints that I did the other day and the deadlifts on Christmas Day, my left hamstring and adductor just got over the soreness. There was still some there, but I felt comfortable to do sprints and jumps and everything today. So I was able to put pretty good effort into those, although I still feel like, I need some more sessions to get faster at them, of course. Lying straight leg sit-ups here. So I'm using 2 micro bands. I did this previously with 20. And I got my all-time PR. I have a record on these also for 25 pounds, was 14 reps, but also with 30 pounds, I managed to get 14 reps previously. So I just skipped up to the 30 pounds here, tried to see what I could do. I ended up beating it. I get 15 reps, super hard, but I could have got another rep had I needed. And even though this was an all-time best, my last training cycle, what ends up happening here is there's so much tension that even with all the chains, this will still end up lifting up on me. So after I maxed out basically what I could do with 2 legs in the last training cycle, I started going up heavier on single leg. So I feel that I could have done more on these at that time. I was in a better condition. I just didn't come back down and do double legs to put a bigger number on the board. But that being said, that was still an all-time PR. I was worried about the hip on this exercise, but it held up fine. Moving on to the single leg iso bridge, I did speed these up, double speed, just because there's so much work. That left hamstring, on these I definitely felt that soreness that I was talking about, but I went from 63 count up to 70 count on these. You can see I'm almost double of what I started when I came back to training on these, my best being 90 count. So hopefully another month of training, I'll be really close to that. So that was those. Then moving on to the Smith machine sissy squats, 55 pounds. I did the first one at normal speed and then sped up the middle. The last one's normal speed, but 55 pounds felt way lighter. I was able to keep solid technique. The first 4 or 5 I was able to knock out back to back before I really felt like I had to keep adjusting my feet. But again, the weight just felt so light. It didn't matter if my knees and feet and everything were going crazy. I just felt like it was just so light. It wasn't even a challenge for me. So I pushed these from 12 to 15, and I was able to get them done in a quicker time too. Like, I really forced myself to try to just not rest at all. Of course, I could have kept going, but again, having such a big increase, 3 reps was already good enough. And, it was more than a 3-rep increase in strength. So if it's working, just keep doing it. But obviously, you could see that last rep was still challenging. But everything felt better with the calories in me. Moved down to 95 pounds on these. I tried to do the first half as strict as I can. Again, I'm not worried about, I can use as much body English as I want, but I just want to keep the first half strict until it feels harder, and then I'll start really using that body English. Previous best on these was 23, end up getting 27, so these are moving along nicely. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is I'm going to be interested really when I go back to chin-ups and I'm able to train the chin-ups regularly to see if I can even get stronger, mainly on these rows. Now, if you guys know the old school exercise called drag curls, I felt something similar where the biceps gets pumped up in the same way. Now, 2 training cycles ago, my regular underhand chin-ups at that time, I had pushed to an all-time record, and I feel at that body weight, my biceps were the best that they had been. Last training cycle, because of some forearm injuries, I had to go to a 45-degree neutral grip on chin-ups, and I had pushed that 10 pounds better than I had done with the other grip. So I still wanted to, at the end of that training cycle, to do 1 set with a supinated grip again, just so I could compare it to previous numbers. And I was able to hit a PR first try, even though my forearm was killing me on those. But my biceps didn't seem like they were as good as they were the previous training cycle. So I'm going back to these rows, I've noticed that my biceps are getting pumped and looking good. So I'll be interested to see how they look in comparison. Press, I just skipped to the 95 there. You can see how fast that I moved it. The working weight today was 120. I wanted to compare this to my previous set I did with 115 because I was 3 pounds heavier today than I was when I did that. So 120 for 15 would be a little bit better lift than the 115 for 15 that I did previously. But I'm feeling strong here. The shoulder wasn't aggravating me too much in that overhead position, although you can see in the first few reps that I'm being easy because that top position is really what aggravates me on it right now. But I was able to get 17 reps, so these are getting stronger. Although you see me doing overhead presses every day, I've had good results on bench press every day, but I haven't had good results on the overhead press, training it every day. You just need other exercises to help build the overhead press. There's just not enough chest and other muscles involved that I feel. I mean, I haven't had good results. I've tried it before for sure. Anyway, last exercise, I moved on to speed deficit deadlifts. Now, when I did these 10 days ago, I did them off an 18-inch deficit. Today, I moved to only a 16-inch deficit. Now, the reason for that is because on the 18-inch, I felt that I was compressed a little bit, abs against thighs. And typically, I don't like to do any exercise while I'm having advantage from the passive structures. I'm not building any strength down there if I can get a little brace and push off between my abs and my thighs. So my mobility is actually really good because previously this was the biggest deficits that I've done, and I don't have any problem getting down there. Now, my best on these ever is 265. I use 245 here today. So my best ever is 265, being 2 or 3 pounds lighter. So basically 23 pounds more. And my cutoff on these is about keeping a rep at 1 second. And that's only like my last set really that I'll time and I'll get hyped up for. All these pretty much seem like they're under 1 second, so that's good. And something else interesting is before I was dealing with this, I had this hip injury 2-3 months ago. I was still coming back from 4 years of issues with my pelvis, and I was just regaining the ability to do these trap bar deficits. Now, at that time, I had only worked up to 225 on this specific variation, and I weighed 6 pounds heavier. So I'm not moving at the same speed as that session. So I'm not 30 pounds stronger, but I honestly think I'm stronger right now than I was before I hurt my hip, which is just crazy to think of. And possibly in 10 days from now, I could repeat this session and try to beat my all-time best on this speed work, which, again, it's mind-blowing. And one other thing about these is that when it started off, it was light, and then it turned to dark. The video, it doesn't show that it's very dark, but it just plays games with my mind. The eyes will already adjust, but I start getting like nauseous and sick, so I definitely have to try to get the session done sooner. From start to finish of this session was maybe 4.5 hours, so I gotta try to get it done sooner. But thanks everyone for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.